Okay, hello everyone. So today, continuation ulit tayo ng ating last video about hypothesis testing. Okay, so kung naintindihan nyo yung ating video last time, okay, mas madali nyo rin itong maintindihan kasi same way lang din naman sila ng pagsusun. Okay, so for our lesson for today is about comparing the sample mean and then the population mean in a small sample size. Okay, so pag sinabing small sample size, it means yung N natin is less than the 30. Mas mababa naman kay 30. Dun sa last video natin kasi, large sample size yung tinalakay. So, dito naman is less than 30. Okay, when the sample size is less than 30, and then the population standard deviation is unknown, we use the following formula to compare the sample mean and then the population. Okay, so yung formula naman na gagamitin is this one. T is equal to x bar minus mu times the square root of n all over s. Okay, so x bar, that is the sample mean, then yung mu is the population mean, then n, that is the sample size, then s, that is the standard deviation of the sample. Okay, so yung symbol lang dito sa baba, yung nagbago. Okay, then madadagdag yung ating degree of freedom. So, para malaman ang degree of freedom is n minus 1 lang siya. Okay, so gagamitin natin yan to identify the critical value of the given. Okay, so sa pag-determine naman ng critical value, so gagamitin pa rin natin itong table na to. So, kailangan alam lang natin yung kung anong type ng test yung gagamitin, kung one-tailed ba siya or two-tailed test. Then also, the level of significance, kung ano yung binigay dun sa given na levels of significance. Then also, the degrees of freedom. So, since ang ginagamit natin dito is yung t-test. Okay, so dapat alam natin yung degrees of freedom. Okay, so ano ba yung degree of freedom? It is the number of values that are free to vary. In general, for any given sample on which we have placed a single restriction, the number of degrees of freedom is n minus 1. So, yung n, that is the sample size. Okay, so for example, yung sample size natin is 20. So, yung ating degree of freedom is 20 minus 1, that is 19. Okay, so dun sa table, hanapin mo lang din si 19. Yan. Then, yung nasa linya niya, o nasa row niya na yan, okay, so yan yung mga critical values. So, nakadepende na ngayon kung anong level of significance. So, for example, dagdagan natin itong given. Okay, so yung degree of freedom natin is 19. Then, yung level of significance or yung alpha natin is 0.05, for example. Then, yung type of test is two-tailed test. Okay. So, halimbawa lang, okay? So, kung two-tailed siya, then 0.05, ano ngayon yung equivalent na critical value niya? Okay? So, ito si 19, yung degree of freedom natin. Then, hanapin natin yung two-tailed test. So, dito. Yung 0.05 sa two-tailed. So, nandito ngayon. Saan tumapat yung kanyang value? Okay? Okay, 19, which is 2.093. Since two-tailed yan, ang gagamitin natin na sign is positive and negative. So, positive and negative, 2.093. So, ito na ngayon yung critical value. So, ganun lang yung paghanap ng ating critical value. Okay, so kapag one-tailed naman, halimbawa, sa one-tailed ka naman titingin. So, ganun lang. Okay. Now let's have an example. It is hypothesized that the cost of making a movie is 24.6 million pesos. This year, a random sample of 15 movies has shown an average production cost of 28.3 million pesos, with a standard deviation of 9.5 million pesos. At 0.05 level of significance, is the hypothesized cost true? So, totoo ba daw na yung cost daw ng paggawa ng movie is 24.6 million pesos? Okay? So, first step natin is to state the null and alternative hypothesis. Okay, again, recall lang natin, null hypothesis contains equality. Lagi yan equal. Then, kay alternative hypothesis, never contain equality. So, ang ginagamit lang dyan is not equal, greater than, or less than. Okay? So, dito sa problem, wala naman tayong nakitang less than or greater than na word. Ibig sabihin, yung gagamitin natin na symbol for alternative hypothesis is not equal sign. Okay, now let's state the null and alternative hypothesis. Okay, so the null hypothesis, okay, mu is equal to 24.6. Okay. Then the alternative hypothesis, so mu is not equal to 24.6. So yung claim ng ang claim nila dito is itong null hypothesis. So ito yung claim nila. Kailangan malaman natin kung kailangan ba nating i-reject or accept yung itong claim nila na 24.6 million yung cost sa paggawa ng movie. Okay. So next step natin is to identify the appropriate test to be used, the critical value at the specified level of significance. Okay, so since yung ginamit natin na sign kay alternative hypothesis is not equal sign, so meaning that is two-tailed test. Okay, so two-tailed test ulit siya. Then yung ating degrees of freedom is, so yung n natin doon is 15. 15 movies yun, di ba? Yeah, so 15 minus 1, that is equal to 14. Okay, so yung degrees of freedom natin is 14. So, pwede natin siyang i-locate doon sa ating table. Then, yung given na level of significance is 0.05. Okay, so hanapin natin sa two-tailed yung 0.05. Then, kung saan lang ulit tumapat. Okay? So, para malaman natin yung degrees of freedom. So, that is 2.145. Okay. Since two-tailed yan, so dalawa rin yung sign, positive and negative. So the critical value is positive and negative 2.145. Okay. So pwede na natin siyang i-illustrate using our curve. Okay, so negative 2.145. Okay. So dito naman yung positive. So yung shaded part dyan, that is the rejection region. Okay. So, kapag yung na-compute nating test value mamaya is mag-fall dito, we need to reject the null hypothesis. Pero kung dito naman siya mag-fall, dito sa side na to, ayan, yung ating test value, meaning, we need to accept the null hypothesis. So, ganun lang yun. The next step is to compute the test value. Okay. So, yung gagamitin natin formula is for the t. Okay, kasi nga yung ating n is less than 30. So, t is equal to sample mean minus the population mean times the square root of n all over the sample standard deviation. Okay, so una, alamin muna natin yung mga given. Okay, so dun sa problem, so nilagay ko dyan yung problem. Okay, yung given na population mean is 24.6. Okay, or 24.6 million pesos. Then, this year, the random sample of 15 movies. So, yung 15, that is the n, yung sample size. Then, yung average daw nung sample na yon nung 15 movies is 28.3. So, meaning that is the sample mean. With the standard deviation of 9.5. Then, yung level of significance natin is 0.05. Okay, so ano na yung mga given? Okay. The sample mean is 28.3. The population mean, 24.6. Then, yung n natin, or yung sample size is 15. Then, the standard deviation is 9.5. Now, substitute all the given to the formula. Okay, so substitute mo lang siya. Okay, so 28.3 minus 24.6 times the square root of 15 all over 9.5. So, kapag kinumpute natin yan using our calculator, ang makukuha nating answer doon is positive 1.15. So, therefore, yung ating test value is yung 1.51. So, ito ngayon yung i-compare natin doon kay critical value para malaman natin kung kailangan ba natin i-reject or i-accept yung null hypothesis. Okay, so step 4, make decision whether to reject the null hypothesis or not. So, kailangan natin yung critical value kanina, yun na compute natin, pati yung test value. So, yung critical value natin is positive and negative 2.145. So, nandito na siya sa ating normal curve. Siya na yung shaded part dyan. Then, yung computed value natin, or yung test value is positive 1.5. So, ngayon, ilo-locate natin si 1.51 doon sa ating normal curve. Si 1.51 is less than kay positive 2.145. So, nandito siya. Assume natin nandito siya sa gitna ni 1 and 2. So, hindi siya nag-fall doon sa ating rejection region. Ibig sabihin, we need to accept the null hypothesis. Okay? Since the computed value or the test value of 1.51 fall outside the rejection region, we need to accept the null hypothesis. So, ano ba yung null hypothesis natin? Is mu is equal to 24.6. So, i-accept natin to, then reject the alternative hypothesis. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, tama yung 24.6 million cost ng paggawa ng isang movie. Okay, so last step is to make a conclusion. So, since we accept the null hypothesis, we can conclude that there is no significant difference between the sample mean and then the population mean. Thus, the hypothesized cause of making a movie is true. So, tama yung 24.6 million cost sa paggawa ng movie. Okay, now let's have another example. The director of a secretarial school believes that each graduate can type more than 75 words per minute. Okay, a random sample of 12 graduates has been found to have an average of 77.2 words per minute, with a standard deviation of 7.9 words per minute in a typing test. Using the 0.05 level of significance, test the claim of the director. So, yung claim ng director is kaya daw nung each graduates na mag-type more than 75 words per minute. Okay, so may nakita na tayong word na more than. Ibig sabihin, ang gagamitin natin na symbol for alternative hypothesis is greater than. Okay? So, meron tayong nakitang more than na word eh. So, greater than. So, to state the null and alternative hypothesis. Okay, so yung null hypothesis natin, mu is equal to 75. Okay, so laging equal yan, si null hypothesis. Then, yung ating alternative hypothesis. Okay, since more than 75 words yan, greater than na symbol yung gagamitin. Mu is greater than 75. Okay. So, ito ngayon yung claim ng director na mataas daw sa 75 words per minute yung nagagawa ng each graduates. Okay. So, now let's continue. Okay. So, step 2 naman, kailangan natin i-identify kung anong type ng test, then yung kanyang critical value. Okay. So, yung type ng test na gagamitin natin is one-tailed test. So, bakit one-tailed test? Doon sa alternative hypothesis, ang ginamit natin na symbol is greater than. So, kapag greater than yung symbol na ginamit, that also, meaning that is one-tailed test. Automatic one-tailed yun. Then, since greater than siya, so, anong type ng one-tailed test? That is right-tailed test. So, papunta siya dun sa right, okay? Then, the degrees of freedom, okay, so, kailangan natin si n or yung sample size. So, that is 12. So, 12 minus 1 equals 11. So, si 11, siya yung hanapin natin doon sa table. Okay. Yan. Then, yung given na level of significance is 0.05. Okay. 0.05. So, hanapin mo siya ngayon dito sa one-tailed, ha? Kasi one-tailed yung type ng test natin. So, 0.05. So, ayan yun. Then, kung saan lang ulit tumapat na value, siya yung magiging critical value niya. So, ito yan. Yan. Okay, so 1.796. So, critical value natin is 1.796. Since right-tailed test siya ngayon, nasa positive side siya. Okay, so nandito ngayon siya sa right side. Okay. Positive 1.796. Ibig sabihin, kapag nag-fall dyan yung ating test value or yung computed value, ire-reject natin yung null hypothesis. So, next step, we need to compute the test value. Okay, so, gagamitin ulit natin na formula is ito. So, T is equal to sample mean minus the population mean times the square root of n all over the standard deviation. Okay, so alamin muna natin yung mga given. Okay, so yung ating population mean is 75 birds. Then, ating random sample, yung sample size natin is 12. Then, yung sample mean is 77.2. Then, the standard deviation is 7.9. So, kapag nakuha mo na lahat ng given, substitute na natin dito sa formula. Okay, so T is equal to 77.2 minus 75 times the square root of 12 all over 7.9. So, kapag kinumpute niyan using your calculator, ang makukuha natin answer is 0.96. Okay, so, therefore, yung ating test value is nasa positive 0.96. So, alamin ngayon natin kung saan mag-fall itong test value na to. Okay? Okay, so step 4, make decision whether to reject the null hypothesis or not. Okay, so yung critical value natin kanina is positive 1.796. So, kaya siya yung nandyan sa right side ng ating normal curve. Okay. Then, yung ating test value is 0.96. So, kung ipo-plot natin yan dito sa ating normal curve, so, dito lang siya naglalay. Okay. So, nandito lang siya. 0.96. Okay. Hindi siya tumama doon sa rejection region natin. So, meaning, we need to accept the null hypothesis. Okay. So, since the computed value or the test value is equal to 0.96, fall outside the rejection region, we need to accept the null hypothesis. Okay. So, accept natin itong null hypothesis na mu is equal to 75. Ayan. So, ire-reject natin itong mu is greater than 75 words per minute. Ibig sabihin, hindi tama yung claim nung director na more than 75 words yung nagagawa ng mga graduates per minute. Okay, so to make conclusion, since we accept the null hypothesis, we can conclude that there is no significant difference between the sample mean and then the population mean. Thus, the claim of the director of the secretarial school that their graduates can type more than 75 words per minute is incorrect. Okay. So, walang enough evidence to support the claim na mas more than 75 words per minute yung nagagawa ng graduates. Okay? So, that's our conclusion. Okay, so that's it. Thank you, everyone.